are live. Welcome. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Let's check the audio levels. Good. We're good to go. How's everybody doing? Happy Wednesday. Hope you're having a great week so far. So good to see everybody here. Welcome to another episode of Apple Home Talk Live, where we talk all about Apple Home and smart home stuff within the Apple ecosystem and beyond, I suppose, sometimes. So hope you guys are having a good week. Let's say hi to some folks. Brandon, what's up? Brandon's in the house, doing great. Good to see you, Brandon. Turin Roberts here. Lone Star Trent. What's up, Trent and Frederick? Great to have you guys. Appreciate y'all being here, helping out with the chat. Nick, what's up, Nick? Larry is here. Doing well, Larry. Thank you. Let's see. Let's see if I can. Sorry, bear with me. George, what's up, George? George's in the house. Yep. Okay, there we go. I moved some things around in my setup here off screen, so bear with me. We're gonna see how this goes. I changed my chat and everything to be over here, so it's a little further from me, so I don't know if this is gonna stick or not, but we're gonna try it out today and see how we go. Just a little closer to the screen, so hopefully it makes reading through the chat easier, but I don't know. We will see how it goes. Always adjusting and kind of trying to improve things here in the live streams. Edgar, what's up, Edgar? Andre from Sweden. All right, yeah, where's everybody from? Looks like we got some people from all over the place. HomeKit and from France here representing. Frederick says, show Shane your appreciation, all of his hard work by smashing the like button. Thank you, Frederick. I appreciate that reminder. Yes, hit the like button. Let's see. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna like this setup. I may go back to the original one next week. We'll see how this goes. But Minnesota, Connecticut, all right, Michigan here. Hair Riot, what's up, Hair Riot? Juan from Virginia. All right, I lived in Virginia for a little while growing up, actually. Indiana's in the house. Texas, but we got a few people from Texas. We got California in the house. Garrett from Dallas, Texas. All right, New Hampshire. Ooh, Northern Ireland. What's up, Kenny? Northern Ireland. North Carolina. All right, North Carolina in the house. We represent any South Carolina here in the house. I know sometimes we get a few people, so a few fellow South Carolinians. Let's jump into some things today. We got a few things to talk about. I think today's going to end up being a lot of Q&A. We'd love to answer questions and stuff like that, especially the last half of the stream. Tennessee, what's up, Tennessee? Massachusetts, Australia's in the house. All right. We got a few channel members from Australia, actually, so that's pretty cool. Good to see everybody here. So yeah, we got a few things to discuss, but there's not a ton in terms of new things, but let's kind of jump right in. Again, bear with me. My screens are like flip-flop today. So let's see if we can do this. So first up, you may have noticed just in terms of Apple related news, there's new iPad mini was released. A17 Pro chip on this and support for the Apple Pencil. I think the last time they updated the iPad mini was like 2021, I believe, something like that. So yeah, they just released this kind of through a press release yesterday, I believe. Yeah, new iPad mini, that's right. So, yep, that's new, I guess. But yeah, nice little, I mean, it's an update. It's, yeah, I think a lot of people are like you, Emmanuel, were hoping for more, but it was kind of a spec bump there. But we got support for the Apple Pencil Pro, faster processing, built from the ground up for AI, Apple Intelligence. That's kind of what they're saying about everything now, I think. And let's see. Yeah, I'm going to save questions. Frederick, I see you have a question. Thank you. So if you have a question, go ahead and you can pop that in the chat if you want, and I'll come back to the questions. Put the word question in there like Frederick did, and I'll come back to those here in just a little bit. Let's see. Next thing up, I don't know if anybody here in the chat has the Apple Vision Pro, but this happened recently. Apple debuts the first scripted film captured in Apple Immersive Video. So I know this isn't really smart home, but it's interesting to me. I feel like with Apple come out with new stuff like this. I did watch this. I don't know if anybody else here watched it. It's pretty cool. It's worth checking out. I don't know that it was like beyond mind-blowing to me personally. It was really cool. If you don't know about this, it's basically like a really short film. I think it was like under 20 minutes, and it was basically takes place on a World War II submarine. So really cool, the whole immersive thing. It was really cool. I will say, just personally, kind of felt more, and maybe it's because like the newness is kind of worn off of the Vision Pro. That's very possible. But I kind of felt like when I first watched some of the 3D movies, that to me on the Vision Pro, that to me was kind of more mind blowing than this. Although this was done really well, it's really cool to see something that was shot completely captured in this Apple Immersive Video, and it is exciting to see what more they'll do with this. They did say some more short films and things like that are coming, shot for the immersive or in Immersive Video, NBA stuff, these little concerts that they're doing, and more of the adventure series, which is always really cool and fun to watch on the Vision Pro. So let's see what you guys saying here in the chat. Brandon, it was cool, but yeah, I felt the same way. Okay, cool. So not just me there. Let's see. I might need to move this screen over here. Let's see if I like that better. So we're making adjustments here in real time with these streams. One day I'm going to get this all nailed just the way I like it. Maybe. Let's see. Some of the music video concert demos are cool, but I wouldn't run out and buy one yet, says Brandon. Yeah. And to be totally honest, mine has sat on the shelf for a couple weeks at least, maybe even longer than a month, to be honest with you, before I kind of did the updates and checked out that Immersive Video. But is what it is. Cool stuff. I'm still waiting on like some of the mind-blowing games to come. That's what I want to see. Just some really cool games on it. Productivity and all that stuff is really cool. I will use it a lot where I travel. I think I just don't travel a whole lot. Lone Star Trent using his member chat for, celebrates 26 months of membership. Thank you, Trent, for being a member for 26 months. So has Caroline gotten used to the new Clark Kent? Yeah. So Trent is referring to it was my Instagram stories, I think, yesterday there, if you guys missed that. No, she's not used to it, to answer your question. But Trent is referring to some smart glasses that I was just kind of messing around with and tried yesterday. So a company sent me out. Hold on, I have the box here. I don't actually have the glasses with me. I left them in another room, but let's see if I got this camera working. That looks kind of dark. I don't know if that's dark to you guys. I might need to fix the lighting on that. But the Airgo 3 by Solos. These were sent to me, and this is what Trent is referring to in the comment there. I put these on, and it's got like AI built in and stuff like that. Pretty interesting stuff. My wife was not sold on them, to say the least. Her reaction was kind of funny. She says what she thinks. So. Did you pull off the glasses look? For what it's worth. Oh, Joe says, for what it's worth, I think you did pull off the glasses. Well, thank you, Joe. See there, Caroline? We need to tell Caroline that. See, I thought I could pull it off too. Caroline did not think so. Let's see, flag some of these questions here. I see there's a couple of them in the chat. Let me save these. But yeah, definitely interesting little product. So I'm not really sold on it. I know we're like way off topic here in terms of smart home, but these basically have like Chat GPT built in and stuff. There's no camera on these. You can listen to music and get like voice reminders and stuff. I just don't know if I'm totally sold on this, like as far as, you know, spending the money to wear something like this all the time. I don't know if it would be worth it for the way I use them. You kind of have to like, I'm still playing with it, so this might change, but it seems like you have to open the app and stuff in order to get the constant chat GPT interactions going and stuff like that. So I don't know, not super seamless so far, but it's pretty interesting technology. Crazy that they got all that built into a little pair of glasses. So excited to see, you know, where that leads for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Seems like my comments are so far away from me. We might have to go back next week to the way it was before, and I'll just be looking off a screen a little bit. So let's see. What's up, folks? Can't hang on. See the world with Chris. What's up, Chris? Glad you could make it here, even if just for a moment. So let's get into what I really want to talk about real quick, just for a few minutes. You guys can ask questions. Would love to hear your thoughts about this stuff. I know some of you probably saw this, but you know, I'm not big on rumors. You guys know how I feel. Probably know how I feel anyways, in terms of like Apple rumors and stuff. We've been hearing about the rumored HomePod with the screen, that kind of thing for years now at this point. And we're continuing to hear more rumors, but this one is pretty interesting, and I wanted to share this in case you haven't seen this and just get your thoughts and kind of share my thoughts on this. So there's been many articles since this came out, but Mark Gurman released this article through Bloomberg, and basically is talking about Apple preparing for a new smart home strategy. And this new focus is basically going to be driven by, he's saying, 3 key components: screens basically everywhere, which is where like the new HomePod with the screen, that kind of device would come in, artificial intelligence or Apple Intelligence, and software. So it's pretty interesting here. So the smart display, they're saying that the smart display, the next device for this will be just a smart display, right? Some sort of, you know, smart home hub or whatever with the screen. And then later after that should be a more high-end smart display with the robotic arm. So we kind of talked about that before. There's been rumors of this for a while. The C World with Chris says, I think Apple should just let you use any modern iPad as a smart home hub. See, I don't know that I agree with that, Chris, because in the past, I don't know if you remember or if you've been using Apple HomeKit long enough, but at one point you were able to do this, and it was problematic really because iPads die and they're portable. So if the battery dies, let's say you're new to smart home and you know all you have is an iPad and you want to use that as your smart home hub. Well, if that iPad dies, you forget to charge it, your whole smart home can just get messed up because there's no home hub then at that point. And same thing when you travel, you know, you want to take your iPad with you, you know, when you go somewhere, well, then there's no home hub back at home, you know, to kind of communicate and drive automations and all that kind of stuff. So I see why they kind of eliminated that as an option. I do think your home hubs should be stationary and not leave the house, and preferably always powered. So that kind of makes sense. And though you and I might understand, you know, you might need to keep that thing powered all the time. Those just getting into it may not understand that. So I see why that could be problematic. It would be nice if HomeKit used the latest Matter version. Yep, I will not argue with that, Eric. I agree. I think we just got Matter 1.2 support, and that's kind of just guessing because I don't think Apple officially tells us. But yeah, we can get air purifiers and stuff like that in there. So it seems like 1.2 is now supported. But yeah, so talking about Amazon trying something similar. So that's another point of this article here, is that he kind of goes on to say that there's really like none of the big name, smart home ecosystems have really conquered the smart home space. So it does kind of leave a gap and for somebody to do it and to do it right. So I don't know. We'll see. It says over the next 2 years, I expect home hardware to be a top priority for Apple. Excuse me. So that's going to be those screen devices. The push will include developing a new HomeOS operating system and a smart display, as well as that higher-end robotic tabletop device. So HomeOS, obviously, that's the third pillar kind of that we were talking about. That's going to be the software side of things, and that's basically, it's based on like a version of tvOS, so it seems, and we've kind of seen them going in this direction, and it'll be nice for them to actually do something with it instead of just having to read these rumor articles. But it's nice to see. And then they talk about the artificial intelligence, and this is interesting here. He says, so the AI will govern how the product works. The tabletop device will use AI to understand its surrounding environment so it can sense who is looking at the screen, what people are doing, and who is speaking. That capability can make the device compelling. So yeah, they're saying, he says in here, I like this, it might actually be the first product built from the ground up for Apple Intelligence. Although they've said that about things like the iPhone, whatever, this home device could actually be the first product truly built from the ground up for Apple Intelligence. So that's very exciting. I don't know, I've talked about this a little bit. I don't know how I feel about AI controlling my smart home or making decisions for me. I feel like that could go wrong pretty easily, but this makes a lot of sense here in terms of AI, utilizing AI for things like knowing who's in the room and stuff like that, especially with the device with the arm on it and everything. So pretty interesting. He says here the company is building a new home ecosystem team to move and moved some engineers from the Shuttered Car project to work on home products. So that is very exciting to have more of a team working on this stuff at Apple. Let's see. And here they talk about, he talks about, it's worth noting that Apple's smart home competitors haven't had many breakthroughs lately either, in terms, speaking of Amazon and Google Home specifically. So this could be a good opportunity for Apple to really get in there and do things right. I feel like all the pieces are kind of in place for them to do this if they take the right steps. So hopefully that's what's going to happen. Let's see, let me check the comments here, see what you guys think. Lawrence says, wouldn't it be cool if they use Apple Intelligence to look at your current usage of home automation and devices in your home, and then you'll be able to interact with your home? That's one use case maybe for Apple Intelligence. Big Brother is watching you and now has AI. Yeah, that's probably a whole nother conversation we can get into right there on that. Yeah, standby on the iPad, right? So a lot of these things we've kind of seen, we touched on this, I think, last week or the week before. A lot of these features we've kind of seen kind of hint at maybe some sort of hub display, hub with a screen, like standby mode. That's a great example. And even the recent tvOS update with the clock on it. We talked about that, like I said, I think it was last week. And yeah, I mean, something like that, the new portrait screensaver with the clock, I mean, that's perfect for a home display. So it seems like maybe that's where things are going. Slayer Nightshade says, I like the idea of a dedicated device with a screen, something that does not have a battery and is dedicated for a home hub display. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I was actually at a family, my brother's house recently, and he has the Google Nest Hub, and I actually had one of those I still have one, I just don't use it at all. I really love the idea of the Nest Hub, and I'm curious if any of you guys use it here, if you like it, how you interact with it, or the Amazon ones, I guess. But I used the large Google Nest Hub Max for a while, really just for testing products and stuff. But I don't know, man. I never really, I just felt like they didn't quite do it right. And I don't know, I just didn't really use it much. But man, there's so much potential there, you know. Apple seems that often moving people around instead of hiring new people, probably why their iOS updates have had issues. Yeah, Google Nest Hub, but better, please. Right? Yeah, I would love it. So I've been kind of into like customizing my own, wall-mounted dashboard for a while. I know some of you guys like to do that too. So it'd be nice to be able to get a lot of that functionality, but then some in an Apple Home, screen, hub type of screen. I think of like integration with your calendars and your reminders and all that stuff, and something like that would be fantastic. That's been kind of difficult to do on a wall-mounted iPad. So having a home display that you can integrate like a family calendar into and a lot of stuff like that would be fantastic, I think. Yeah, your voice assistant with Google works much better. Yeah, well, yeah. We're not talking about the voice assistants though, but yeah, you're probably right about that. But specifically, I'm curious about the screen and the interface and the interactions with the screen. For me, it wasn't quite there with Google, in my experience. Yeah, David, there you go. Yep, exactly. Yeah, and no ads, right? No ads would be amazing. So, let's see. Oh, I did want to also remind you guys, I meant to do this at the beginning of the stream. Let's see. I'll go ahead and do it now though, and maybe again, remind you at the end. We did a video a couple weeks ago on a viewer automation video where a lot of you guys submitted your own automations from your smart home, and we showcase it on the channel. Those are always a lot of fun. That was the first one we've done in a couple years like that, and we got good feedback, good comments and stuff from you guys. So I know there was a lot of comments that said we want to see more of this. We want, maybe like a regular series or something. So I did want to just put this out there and say, if you guys want to do that, I need automations and submissions from you all. So what I'm doing is down in the description of this live stream, there is instructions on how to submit an automation, and I'm just going to keep that down there. Right now, I don't have like a deadline or anything, and we're just going to see how it goes. But if I do get submissions for automations, basically you can just film with your iPhone or something, a short little video showing your automation, explain what's going on. We like to see creative, unique, fun automations, or maybe things that are, have just really helped out your daily life in some way. So if you have anything like that and you would love to share it with the rest of us, we would love to see it. And again, check that out down there in the description on how to do that. And if I get enough of these, I'll release another video, and it would be super cool to make this like a reoccurring type of, showcase video, maybe every month, every couple months or something, just depending on the feedback we get. So I did just want to put that out there and let you guys know, because that was something that a lot of you asked about. So Al, looking forward to the G5. Yeah, me too. Try to make a slightly nicer video next time. It's all good as long as we can see the automation and understand. It's good for sharing ideas. It's always a lot of fun to see how other people are using automations to fit their life and their lifestyle, because we all live and do things differently. So it's really nice to get other perspective. A lot of fun. Edgar says, I have the Nest Hub. It was one of the best purchases for the kitchen. Girlfriend approved. We like it a lot, even though we are all about HomeKit. Apple needs to step up that category. I did have mine in the kitchen for a while. You know what? It just ended up being another place for timers for me in our house. My wife used it, and then anytime you switch things up, I told her, we got Google in here now, so you can talk to that. But then she was so used to talking to the Apple voice assistants that that's never good, switching things up on the wife or the girlfriend or whatever. But yeah, it's good to hear, how people are using it. We just never, I don't know, something about, I guess, the interface on the Google one, the Nest Hub, I never really just didn't really like it too much. So we just use it for timers in the kitchen. Frederick says, question, what about personal automations that run on your iPhone? Can we submit those? That's a good question. And I would say yes. I do, want to stick to smart home stuff for these videos, smart home automations, because we could probably get a little off course if we go to any type of automations and personal shortcuts and stuff. But personal automations are still automations. So, let me know, submit it. We can talk about it or whatever. But yeah, I would say any kind of automation, that's kind of somewhat smart home related. I know, like the last video, we had submissions that were people were utilizing Home Assistant and Home Bridge and all kinds of stuff, kind of outside just HomeKit. But it's fun to still see the different smart home concepts and ideas, because regardless of what platform you're using, a lot of these things can be done, in various ways, I guess. So yeah, submit it and we can talk about it. All right, let me answer some of these questions. I see we've got some questions here. Frederick had a question earlier, says, what about the Ecovacs smart vacuum that got hacked? And bad guys was driving around the vacuum and cursing at homeowners. I laugh, but it's not funny when he saw them through the camera. Yeah, so I heard about this. I don't know if anybody else has heard about this. I'll see if I can pull up an article or something. I have some thoughts on this. Let's see. 6 days ago. Trying to find an article we can chat. The Vice. Let's see, maybe this one. Robot vacuums hacked to shout slurs at their owners. That's probably the one there. So it says robot vacuums were hacked to shout racial slurs. I didn't know it was racial slurs across the U.S., exposing major security flaws in popular Ecovac models. Now, my understanding, I'll just go ahead and say real quick, my understanding of this is that the security flaw was people, the robot owners, with bad passwords. So if that's the case, we'll read into this a little bit more and see if this article says anything about that. But if that's the case, you can't really blame. I mean, I don't know, maybe there should be some more, some better like 2A authentication or something in place so something like this doesn't happen. But at the end of the day, like we got to have good passwords. You can't reuse passwords. I know y'all probably feel me. I've been preaching to my family and friends forever, like, don't reuse passwords. And a lot of times that's where these issues come from, is people that just have bad passwords. Let's say your Target password gets compromised, and that's the same password you use for every other account, including your, robot vacuum. Well, then that's compromised. And next thing you know, you've got somebody controlling your robot vacuum, driving it around your house. So, but let's see if this gives us any insight into that. The issue is specifically with Ecovacs. The hackers gained control of the devices and used the onboard speakers to blast slurs at anyone within earshot. One such person was a lawyer from Minnesota. He was watching TV when he heard some odd noises. Okay, let's see. There were multiple reports of similar incidents. Oh, I didn't know there was multiple ones across the U.S. and around the same time. One of them happened in L.A. where a vacuum chased a dog while spewing hate. Man, see, that would be kind of funny if it wasn't for the hate. You know, if the vacuum just started chasing your dog, I feel like that would be kind of funny. The interactions between my dog and the robot vacuums are sometimes comical. The attacks are apparently quite easy to pull off thanks to known security vulnerabilities in Ecovacs like bad Bluetooth connector and a defective PIN system that is intended to safeguard video feeds and remote access, but actually doesn't do any of that. Okay, so maybe there is some further issues there. A pair of cybersecurity researchers released a report on Ecovacs detailing the brand's multiple security flaws earlier this year. The company, as it appears, has not yet addressed all of its critical issues, nor do they seem to believe that their vacuums are even capable of being hacked. That's not good. That is not good. Swinson says that that customer support thinks the hackers may have gained access through a process called credential stuffing, which is when old passwords have been collected from hacks of other websites and services and are used to gain access in other aspects of a user's digital life. So yeah, that's basically what I was just talking about there. So looks like there's some issues there, I guess, on both ends. You know, as a user, create those unique passwords. Use the new password app that you have in the iPhone for stuff like that. Let me jump in the chat here, see what you guys are thinking. Yeah, anything can get hacked, 100%. Aaron, what's up, Aaron? Aaron says the issue with a lot of these companies is that they don't address the security issues or even have someone contracted to test the security side of things. And I agree 100% on this. We talked a little bit, was it last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, about I think it was Eufy a while ago, had some security issues as well with some of their cameras. And like John said, anything really can get hacked, and these things do happen. But to me, what I look at when I see these kinds of stories is like, how does the company as a whole react to something like this? And if the company is like ignoring it or acting like it didn't happen, or like Eufy's response, what was that, like a year, maybe a couple years ago, was not very good. And those kinds of things is more what I look at. Obviously, you hope it doesn't happen at all, but John said, I just ordered my SwitchBot S10 vacuum. It's coming tonight. Funny timing. Yeah. Well, use a unique password, but yeah, I use unique passwords for everything. 2-factor authentication, especially anything with a camera or a microphone. As the consumer, it's do your due diligence in that regard. But yeah, you would hope that the company would see this as an issue, especially if there's multiple reports, and do something about it, at least address it head on, John says, yeah, all my passwords are just a string of numbers and letters. That's right. So yeah, I would highly recommend you guys, everybody should be, and I tell all my friends and family this, use a password manager. Now to me, one of the best updates to iOS 18 was like now Passwords is an actual app on your iPhone, which was fantastic for me because I told my mom, my family members, especially my mom and dad, was like, now there's an app, like you can just use the app. It's right there, because it was always kind of hard to find the passwords, but you can also use like Dashlane or OnePass, where they just automatically generate passwords. But iPhone does that for you right there in the passwords app. So definitely take advantage of that. Let's see, questions here. Keenan says, what was your TP-Link Deco mesh Wi-Fi experience like? I picked up a pair of the XE70s through your link on Prime Day. I've been lukewarm on the app interface and restrictions so far. Let me look up that one. I'm not sure off the top of my head which one that is. Let's see, Deco XE70. And to answer your question, I was happy with mine. I used it for a little while. Yeah, this isn't the one that I had. This looks like you have, what? Let's see, what did you say? XE70? Which one is that? Yeah, okay, so the Wi-Fi 6E. So I had the Wi-Fi 7 one is the one I was using. So it's probably not very different. I actually liked the app interface quite a bit, and I felt like for a plug and play mesh Wi-Fi system, I feel like it had, at least on the model that I had, which was the Wi-Fi 7 model, I felt like it had good controls compared to some of the others I've used, like Netgear Orbi and Linksys, some of the plug and play mesh Wi-Fi systems. So in comparison, I thought it was pretty good. I actually like the app for that one. So yeah, I don't know. I guess that's a preference thing. I know, like, just for example, with the Netgear Orbi, I think it was, some of the more advanced features that I wanted to access on the Orbi, I would have to go into the web interface, and I couldn't do it in the app. But I remember with TP-Link, you could do some of that with the app. And I like how they had like the dedicated IoT network you could configure and everything pretty easily there. That was on the Wi-Fi 7. I don't know if the 6E has that also, but yeah, I thought it was pretty good for what it is, Let's see. See some more questions. I'm gonna try to save these. I appreciate y'all bearing with me. All right, where are we at? Al says, when will Matter allow more lighting controls? So limited right now. Would love the ability to do lighting effects in HomeKit. Yeah, I don't know exactly, but I do know that I'm pretty sure they've said that they're working on this and that it's something they plan to release in the future. I have no idea what that means in terms of like the timeline. But it does seem like that's coming. You may recall adaptive lighting was recently added. Now it's not supported by all device manufacturers right now. I guess there's something on the device manufacturer side that they have to do in order to enable this for Matter lights. But now with iOS 18, all Nanoleaf Matter lights do support adaptive lighting. So that's like a step in the right direction, I feel like. I really like adaptive lighting for some of my lights, so I really like to see that. I do really hope that the rest of my Matter lights will get that update to support adaptive lighting in HomeKit. But again, so that's not lighting effects like you're talking about, but I feel like that is a step in the right direction. So hopefully lighting effects and stuff like that will be maybe a future iteration of that. Oh, thank you, Robert. Robert says that Hue lights support adaptive lighting now too. The Matter ones. Interesting. I did not know that. Yeah, I only have a few Philips Hue lights, and I don't think I'm even using them through Matter. So I never update. I don't think I updated those to support Matter. So that's good to know. Awesome. So Nanoleaf and Philips Hue, it looks like, can support adaptive lighting. And again, that's Matter, I believe, right? Mr. H4, I really hate Matter. Lately, I've had problems with Eve plugs, Nanoleaf lights, Eve motion sensors, all with Matter. Oh man, hate to hear that. Sorry to hear that. Could be a thread issue too. Sounds like those are all thread products, or using the thread protocol. Let's see. I believe Shahif Levi says regarding Ecovacs, was issues earlier this year or last year? It looks like it was earlier this year. They said, this article anyway said it just happened. Like Ecovacs just got hacked again is what the article says. So I don't see any dates, but all right, we got some more questions. I'm gonna get to them. Let's see who we got next. Green Arrow says, how do people debug shortcuts in the Home app? Is it possible to stop and print out a variable or just a message to show that an if statement was true? I'm not really sure what you're asking there. That's really getting deep into the weeds, I feel like. So, I mean, when I'm looking at shortcuts and trying to debug or figure out an issue, I mean, if you play a shortcut in like the shortcut editor, you can see it kind of go through. And then you can also see in there the output usually of what's going on. So just a combination of that's usually what I use. But I'm not really sure if that helps your question or not. Is it possible to stop and print out a variable or a message to show that an if statement was true? Again, if you're looking through that, if you're looking at the in the shortcut editor when you're creating a shortcut, if you play it right from there, you'll see it's kind of hard to see. It's not super obvious, but you'll see, like, I think it's green. You'll see the steps and where it goes. So if an if statement is true, it'll go to the true. It'll continue on. If it's not true, otherwise, then it'll skip to that part. So that's how I do it. That usually is all I need. Is there a way to use an Apple Watch to work with an NFC tag? There is not, which is kind of crazy. Kind of crazy because it supports NFC, but no, there is not a way to do that, unfortunately. I kind of thought that they would maybe give us that ability by now, but never did. Oh, there you go. Frederick says you can display the results for a variable. Yeah, so I guess you could build out, you could build out shortcut actions that would show you the results for a variable too. Yeah, that's true. You could do that. Yeah, there you go. Like Bob says, you can add a text message to if statements is telling you it's true. Yep, that's right. That would be a easy way to do it. Oh, good point too from Aaron. There's a stop and output action. Yeah, so kind of multiple ways you can kind of check to see if some good suggestions there. Thanks everybody. Jason says, have you noticed more no response errors from Matter devices lately? Even my Eve devices have had issues, and that used to never happen. I personally haven't noticed anything outside of the usual. My Eve accessories have been working fine. I'm gonna check some right now just to see. Let's see, one of my most recent ones, Matter Lights. Yeah, no, I haven't noticed that that issue with my Eve stuff. I don't know if anybody else has. Steven says, what's your most complicated automation? I love seeing other people's complex automations, as some of mine are just nested ifs to the max. I don't know if you guys can see my dog laying over there. She's making noises every now and then. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but if you can, that's what's going on back there. It's just my dog laying around like a big hippo. So the question, my most complex automation, you know, I'm really not sure what my most complex one is. I've been kind of in this like weird rebuilding phase where some of y'all know I started using Home Assistant kind of on the back end. So I'm trying to transition a lot of my automations over to Home Assistant just to run back on that side. And but I don't really do a lot of like crazy advanced automations, which I know probably sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I really like to keep my stuff as simple as possible. You mentioned having a bunch of nested if statements in your automations. Stephen, have you looked at, since iOS 18, have you checked out the new, what do you call it? I guess the conditions that you can have within if statements, that's really nice. So that eliminates the need to have a bunch of those nested if statements. So you can do like, if this happens and this happens, you can have a bunch more conditions in there, which is really nice. Definitely a welcome addition. I did just set one up using that too. I'm trying to think of what was I doing? I don't know. It was something basic. I think it was like at sunset, if something else happened. It was a couple of conditions in there, but yeah, my most advanced automation is really not that advanced. I'd really try to keep things simple. Yeah, 100%. John says, I'm with you on that. Oftentimes, less is more with automations. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Someone posted an automation with a water sensors and water shutoff as a workaround, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, I've used those kinds of automations for a long time. It's pretty basic to use. I'm not sure if there's something else going on with this one, but if a water sensor detects water, shut off the water shutoff valve. That's something I've done for a long time. And with that, I like to use multiple triggers so you can really just have all that in one automation. Like if you built that in HomeKit alone or in the Apple Home app, you would have to have multiple automations, one for each sensor. But now I guess you could do, I think you would still have to use a third-party HomeKit app for that. But I like to do it in one automation, just have multiple triggers. So if this sensor or if this sensor or if this sensor, if any of these sensors detects water, shut off the water valve. And that's what I've been doing. That's a great one. I have been talking about water sensors a lot lately. One of my really good friends just had like massive water damage in his house. He had a slow leak. It was behind his dishwasher and it never leaked out to the front, so they never knew it. And it was essentially leaking down, and it just destroyed underneath, and they never saw it, like underneath the floor. So mold, all that kind of stuff. So they had to rip out the whole living room, the whole kitchen, the flooring, and all of that, all because of the slow water leak. And he was like hitting me up. He was like, what are those water sensors that you've been using, and what do I need to get? And I was sharing all that with him. But man, seeing that, and I've seen so many people over the years who have dealt with that water damage. It's just not something you want to deal with. Brandon says, I've converted all my automations to third-party HomeKit runs or automations. Home's control is just way too simple. I just wish the third party had full control. Yeah, I hear you there. They did take, I feel like a big step in the right direction by giving us those conditions when you convert to shortcut now that you can do. I was just talking about. That's definitely a step in the right direction. But I still don't think you can do multiple triggers for a single automation in HomeKit. You have to trigger it with one thing, and then you can do multiple conditions on top of that. So, but yeah, I hear you. That's why I've been kind of looking at other ways to do my automation so I can build stuff a little bit more advanced in the event that I want to. Eric says, Shane, I know you've made the statement multiple times about water sensors saving yourself and your friends. Yesterday, an Aqara water sensor saved the day when I had a hose to the washing machine bust. Wow. Man, that could have been a bad one too, I imagine, if you didn't know about it. When anytime a pipe or a hose busts, that could be bad. And if that water damage escalates quickly. So wow, I'm glad to hear that. And there's been so many stories like this too, like in our Discord server. There was just a couple recently where, the water sensors went off, alerted you, even if you don't have a water shutoff valve, just to get that alert and to know there's an issue, go address it and save thousands of dollars in damage usually. Great to hear that. All right, I got some more questions. I'm going to get to them, I promise. Let's see. Let me get over here to my question section. Emmanuel says, I have Dashlane password manager. Is there a way to copy the passwords and transfer them to iOS password manager? That's a good question. I do not know off the top of my head, Emmanuel. I used to use Dashlane, and I've not really used it in quite a while. So I do not know if they have any kind of like migrate feature. I doubt it, but I would have to look into it a little bit to be 100% sure. It might be something you'd have to do manually. I don't know. John asks, if you have to have, you have to have a Aqara M3 Hub to get it in Home Assistant. I'm not sure what this question is referring to, John. Says, do you have to have an Aqara M3 to get it into Home Assistant? I'm not sure what you're talking about here. To get what into Home Assistant? Probably something I was rambling about earlier. But Aqara stuff you can get into Home Assistant through really any of the Aqara hubs because they support HomeKit. They also support Matter. Any of them. Actually, any of them, because they do support Matter, you can integrate that way. I have my M3 integrated into Home Assistant through Matter, but you could do it with any of the Aqara hubs. Thaddeus asked, do I need an Aqara hub to connect the Aqara T2 accessories to my home? Let me just real quickly look up the Aqara T2 accessories because sometimes I get a little confused with these naming conventions. Okay, so the T2, got it. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay, good, thank you. Here's what I'm looking at for those curious. So the Aqara T2 is basically the Zigbee 3.0, I think is the big thing here when you see that Aqara T2. So you've got like the relay, all of the Zigbee sensors now. This is just like their newer version of the Zigbee sensors. And of course I can't see any of the other ones. That's the P2, not that one. Here we go. Oh no, that's the P2 also. Dang, well where's the door and window sensor? That's a P1. I thought there was a door and window sensor too, like that's a T2. I could be wrong. But no, I think if we're looking at like this one right here, the relay, this is just a Zigbee 3.0 device. So any of the Aqara Zigbee 3.0 hubs would work. So any of their newer ones, M1S hub Gen 2, the M2 hub, I think even the E1 hub, G2H, all those should be fine to connect your these Zigbee sensors to. Let's see. Do you know if there's a way to control your Apple TV with just your voice, more specifically navigate the menus? Ooh, I don't know if there's a way to navigate the menus with just your voice. There may be some accessibility features. I don't know off the top of my head what exactly you can do with that. I would have to look into that. I know you can, if you have a HomePod nearby, you can do certain things with your HomePod natively without having to set anything else up. So you can tell your HomePod like, hey, you know who, you can say, hey, you know who, open the Apple TV, especially if it's in the same room. It's really easy. You could just say, turn on the TV or turn on the Apple TV. You can say, open YouTube on the Apple TV. That works. You can say, mute the TV. You can play and pause things like that all through the HomePod when there's an Apple TV in the same room. So you can do stuff like that, but I'm not really 100% sure on other features outside of using a HomePod for voice. I don't know if anybody else here has any experience with that, and Mike could chime in there. There's probably some more accessibility features than I'm aware of off the top of my head. Oh, Jeff says, can't wait for the Aqara garage door opener. At some point, I think I'll be everything Aqara. Yeah, I hear you. Aqara is just, they're solid, man. They really are. They just keep on winning. It's just hit after hit with their stuff, man. I really like their last two locks that they released. And yeah, outdoor camera coming soon. That garage door opener is coming soon. Water sensor coming soon. Or not, sorry. Water shutoff valve coming soon. So yeah, just more and more stuff coming from Aqara. How do the HomePods determine which one to respond from? I have 3 in my living room, kitchen, dining room, and sometimes the iMac in my office will be the one to respond. So I don't really know. I think the answer is just Apple Magic or some form of it. It's supposed to be able to tell which one is closest to you. This is not foolproof. It does not always work like it's supposed to. It's usually pretty good in my experience because I have HomePods sometimes close enough in different rooms, and if they're close enough, sometimes it definitely gets it wrong. The only thing you can really do, like if your iMac is an issue and you don't use the voice assistant on your Mac, I would just turn that off. You can go into the settings and turn off, listen for, hey, you know who. That's what I would do if it's an issue on that one. And you can also turn that off on different HomePods as well. If you don't want it on, like if you have HomePods that are close enough and you just don't want that on some of them and use a primary one, that's probably what I would do. Question, Jay Buck says, I just got the Aqara M3 Hub. Do you use it for connecting IR, ceiling fans, or anything else IR? I don't really have a lot of IR stuff in my house, almost nothing really. So I've done some tests when I get one of the, like I tested some of that with the M3 Hub when I first got it. I made a video about it, but I don't use IR devices very much. I don't have many in my house, so I'm not currently using any IR devices with my M3 Hub, but you definitely can. Oh man, we got a super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Where's my super chat button? Your PCND, I appreciate that.
SUPERCHAT.
Says, I bought Onvis SMS1 because the SMS2 refused to work with HomeKit. Anyway, do you have ideas on underbed lights using the Onvis at night when we need to get up for some reason? We have 4 Casa. I'm gonna have to look those up because again, these naming conventions, sometimes I can't remember them all. Let's see, Casa HS 103. I'm assuming that's a smart plug, or yeah, smart plug. And then you got the Onvis SMS1. Okay, so that is, oh, okay, the motion sensor, right? Is that this one? PR motion. So basically a motion sensor and smart plugs. All right. The question was, do you have any ideas on underbed lights using the Onvis at night when we need to get up for some reason? So, I mean, if you got it working in a HomeKit, if you're asking about what lights to use, you can use any lights that support HomeKit. See a couple of the questions. Let me flag these. Oh, that just scared me and my dog. You gotta love live stream. So I tried putting mounting a light on the ceiling for like a hair light, and that obviously didn't work out too well. So I'm gonna have to revisit that. Oh, good stuff here. Where was I at? So underbed lights using the Onvis. So there is a really good automation in that recent video I was talking about with the viewer automations, where somebody used, it was a presence sensor under the bed to detect motion, and when motion was detected, they lit up different light strips on either side of the bed. I thought that was a really good one. Check that out if you haven't seen it. But that would require 2 motion sensors like you have if you want to do different sides of the bed. But any light strip would work under there. Just depends. Like if you have an Aqara Hub, the Aqara light strip is really good. If you don't have an Aqara Hub, then you can use, Nanoleaf or anything really that works in HomeKit. You can automate there. I hope that helps some. Let me answer a couple more questions. Concerns with cameras indoors, particularly with Aqara. I know they claim good privacy, but I'm still not 100% confident to place a camera indoors. I mean, this is going to be a personal preference there and what you're comfortable doing. Personally, I've never been a huge fan of using cameras inside either, so I get it. I know a lot of people that do. It's just your level of comfort. I do trust Aqara. I think Aqara is a good, reputable brand. They've never had any security or privacy issues that I'm aware of. With that said, I don't really like to use cameras inside either. I have before for kids, and I do have some strategically placed, like to watch over the dog, and then I've got one that's like looking at the front door also. So I've got a few here and there. And I've used them for kids too. But yeah, I mean, it just depends on your level of comfort, I guess. Again, I'm not really a big fan. I don't really need them inside. I used to use one. I have another one inside I really did that for when my kids were younger, and you started leaving them at home and stuff like that sometimes. But now that my kids are like older, I really don't even need that. So yeah, it just kind of depends. Cameras outside is what I really like the most. Yeah, Brendan says if I have cameras indoors, I'd have them from a company that has 0 online connectivity. And that's another thing, just depending on your level of comfort and expertise, you could also set up rules and stuff like that on the router side to block internet traffic from going outside your house. I do also have so like I'd use a lot of PoE camera. Well, not a lot, but I have a few PoE cameras that I use which is all local, and you can kind of lock that down too from getting outside and without hitting the internet. So there are some options there, if you want to kind of look into that. All right, we got time for one or two more questions. Actually, I got to get going pretty soon. Let's see. Bob has a question. Seems that control my nanoleaf LED strips that have worked for months stopped working yesterday. All embedded automations in all the scenes were gone. Any thoughts on the cause? Bob, it's really hard to say without, just kind of knowing more of the setup, and if you were updating stuff or anything like that. It's kind of hard to determine the cause of stuff like this sometimes. Usually kind of takes some troubleshooting and things. That is unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. You said all of the scenes. That's interesting that it was maybe just stuff containing your nanoleaf lights. I don't know if that would have something to do with it or not, but definitely, restart your HomeKit hubs and stuff like that, and hopefully that would help some stuff out. But yeah, sometimes if stuff like that goes wrong, I don't know the cause. But yeah, sorry to hear that. Let's see. Back up. When will cameras get Matter to get into HomeKit? Dave asked. My guess is, sometime 2025, I would expect to see that. That's what I do expect. I don't have any insider knowledge there or anything like that, but I would say it's still probably going to be a while. I would guess, if I just had to throw my best guess at the wall, I would probably say the last half of 2025. Maybe sooner. I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll be sooner than that. But I would guess probably the last half of 2025. That's what I would kind of hope for. So, all right. Well, with that said, guys, I got to get running. My daughter she's cheering at a football game tonight, so I got to get to that. She had a cheer competition last night. Football game tonight, so she's keeping us busy. But anyways, it's been fun hanging out with you guys. I appreciate everybody for being here. All the channel members, thank you so much for your continued support as a channel member. And for everybody else, thank you for hanging out here and chatting with me. It's always a lot of fun. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I do have some videos coming soon, so make sure you turn on notifications if you want to get notified when those get released. And for everybody, I will see you next time. Have a great day and a great rest of your week. All right, God bless.